Hey guys, Timothy Roberts here. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at some hi-hats that I did not make. These were made by one of my favorite makers of all time, Craig Lordson, and I have them in my shop. I'm kind of a transient stop in the life of these hi-hats. I picked them up for a buddy of mine. He shipped them to me, and I'm going to ship them to my buddy because he lives out of the country. And he let me open the box up and put them on the stand and play them and analyze them, and I've picked up a couple of cool things from checking out these hi-hats. So let's listen to them. So I pulled these out of the box yesterday, and I played them a little bit. I was taking a close look at the finish and some interesting things that Craig did on these. They are awesome. Awesome hi-hats. This is a great example. These hi-hats are a great example of working with chaos a little bit and working with shapes that can present problems, but doing it in such a masterful way that you have zero of those problems exhibiting themselves in the cymbal. So what I mean by that, really, it comes down to the shape that they're in. And I'll get to talking about the weights and all that kind of stuff, but they have this curvature out near the edge, and it kind of comes up, fairly, like by around here, it kind of billows up, and then it sort of flattens off near the bell. And with hi-hats especially, if you don't have strength built into that flatter area, you get this hum and this honk and this really ugly tone that is really not great to listen to, and it makes them kind of have this like thumpy feeling that isn't very nice. It's like a thump, 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 and it feels hollow is a good way of saying it. But what Craig did with these hats that I really dig is that he has enough strength near the bell to keep that thump at a minimum. It's kind of buried in the mix. But this strong curvature out near the edge gives the foot sound this really vintage, cool, round thing. It's not super sharp and piercing. It's more like round, if that makes sense. And then it also gives the stick a really nice response to the hi-hats. So when I play the foot chick, you can probably hear the thum, 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 a little bit of that thumpy thing, but you have this really clear, crisp sibilance thing that's happening on top that I really dig. And that thump is kind of buried below that in a way that in context when you're playing a ride or see if there's other instruments, it's going to blend really, really well, and it's not going to be this piercingly sharp, annoying sounding hi-hat. Hi-hats can very easily be annoying sounding. And so giving a little bit more roundness to the sound, round character to the sound really does help in creating an inviting hi-hat sound rather than a annoying one. So let's flip these upside down. I can't remember what the weights are, but yeah. So the top hi-hat is 1,075 grams. The bottom hi-hat is 1,176 grams. So we're basically within 100 grams of each other, top and bottom. I've talked about this in other hi-hat videos that bottom hi-hat being a little bit heavier is what can give you some of that body and clarity with the foot chick. A lot of older cymbals, old Ks especially, Spizzes will be what's called match weighted, which is they just have a very close top and bottom. And there's different benefits to having a wide separation in the gram weights or having them be close. A lot of times thinner hi-hats will have kind of a match-weighted situation going on where, say, you got like an 800-gram 14-inch over top of a 900-gram or a 1,000-gram bottom. And this can create more nuance and it creates spread at a lower volume. You don't have to hit it so hard to get it to activate. And then another thing is I've seen hats, and one of my favorite pairs of hats I ever owned was a pair of 14s that had a 700-gram top, 750, something like that, and the bottom was 1,200 grams. They were 14s. And so this wide separation gave it to where there was such clarity on the foot sound. And the chick was really forward, but the really thin top allowed them to be nuanced and activated at low volumes. And those cymbals were designed for a drummer, one of my favorite drummers, Jeff Hamilton. It was for him to be able to play these hats in his combo settings, but then also take them to the big band. Now with these hats, I believe they're 15s, and I'm going to run over there to grab my tape measure just to check. Whenever you measure cymbals, measuring them from the bottom is a way to get the accurate dimension. I always also don't use the end of a tailor's tape. I go to start at 1 inch. So these are actually over 15 inches. So these cymbals are almost 15 and a quarter inches. They felt a little oversized to me. So, bigger diameter, that kind of accentuates the gram weights and kind of what they're actually doing. So those gram weights, these are thin hats. These are not, medium thin or medium by any stretch of the imagination. These are thin. And what's really amazing about the way that Craig designed these, having that kind of top hi-hat that has more curvature out towards the edge but still strength at the bell, that's kind of, dialing in clarity when if you were just to look at the gram weights and the size, you'd think, oh, they might be a little bit mushy sounding and a little bit ill-defined. So the bottom hi-hat doesn't have quite the same shape. It's a little bit more of a uniform thing heading up to the bell. And that is also, I think, important, and I would imagine he was very intentional in shaping the bottom hat that way, because that upwards trajectory towards the end of the bell really does create strength in the cymbal when you're using the foot sound. You don't want a flatness in the bottom, because if you're really digging in on the foot, from the bottom you can have like a little bit of a sink, or it can kind of want to move as you're thumping it, which is really where that thump, thump, thump sound comes from in thin hi-hats. Last thing I want to note before we wrap up this video is that he has done a brushed finish to this, and he has, if you look at his videos online, he'll say brushed finish, and it's using probably a wire brush or something, and it's giving these little scrapes at the very end. I'd imagine this is the last thing he does before he puts whatever surface treatment on it, if he even does that. And it's a really cool thing. I've done it many times, this brushed finish on top of cymbals, and it makes them look cool, but there's also a sonic effect to it. And if I was to describe it, I would describe it as a little bit of it can increase some of the sparkly highs in the cymbal. So you've obviously got the tonal grooves, and the way you do those can really increase the sparkly highs, but then you've also got this final brushed finish that's going over top. And I might try to get the camera close to see if you can even kind of see what I mean, but it's like swirling scratches that kind of swirl in this way all the way around the cymbal, kind of in that manner. So super cool thing that Craig does to a lot of his cymbals. I only ever did the brush finish to cymbals years ago because I saw that Craig did it. So shout out to Craig for that. I don't know where he got it, but all in all, these cymbals are wonderful, beautiful, and I wanted to put them, feature them on the YouTube just because I love cymbals and I love Craig's work. He's really one of my favorite makers. And so please drop a comment below and let me know what you think about these hats. So I'll turn the camera around. We'll get kind of a player's perspective video, and then I'll try to get you a close-up of that polish thing. But other than that, subscribe and hit the bell if you want notifications, and keep an eye out for the next video. I'm Timothy Roberts. Thanks for watching.